The 10 most beautiful beaches around the world. Whether it's with bright white sandy beaches or in the most idyllic scenery imaginable, this world truly has many beautiful beaches, each of which is more breathtaking than before. Although some of them are located in the centers of world-famous cities, others are located in tropical islands or hidden deep in national parks. Whether they're backed by impressive rock formations, rugged cliffs, or gently swaying palm trees, these beautiful beaches really need to be trusted. Number 10. Navagia Beach. Navagia's beach's dazzling white limestone cliffs all over its sandy coast and the sparkling turquoise waters surrounding it undoubtedly paint a beautiful picture. This beautiful beach is located in the Ionian island of Zakynthos. It's often published in travel magazines and is one of the most beautiful natural environments in Greece. Although Navagia Beach is named Shipwreck Beach because of the rusty wreckage of its shipwreck, it's ironically accessible only by boat. Skimming the sparkling water to the secluded bay is an unforgettable experience. As you approach, the scenery gets better and better. Number 9. The Baths. Bath is located at the southernmost point of Virgin Gorda, the third largest island in the British Virgin Islands. Huge granite boulders are piled on the beach, forming spectacular tunnels and grottos, which lead to the sea and become flooded at high tide. Tropical palm trees line both sides of the beach, adding a dramatic effect. Number 8. Tapue Tai. Tapue Tai, a foot island, is a small island in Aitutaki Atoll in the Cook Islands. It provides visitors with magnificent views of the Aitutaki Lagoon, and according to the tide, people can walk on the sand dunes at a considerable distance from Tapue Tai. The beach was named Australia's leading beach in the World Travel Awards held in Sydney in June 2008. Number 7. Zlatni Rat. Nicknamed Golden Horn, Zlatni Rat stretches into the Adriatic Sea, changing its shape and length according to the current, tide, and wind direction. The White Pebble Beach is located on the south coast of Brack Island, a short distance from the peaceful port town of Bol. Zlatni Rat is frequently published in global travel magazines. Due to its magnificent scenery and sparkling turquoise water, it's one of the most popular tourist destinations in Croatia. In 2009, it was named one of the 10 best beaches in the world by Lonely Planet. Number 6. Uludeniz. Uludeniz is located on the delightful turquoise coast of southwestern Turkey. As people spread its charm, it's an increasingly popular beach. Uludeniz means Dead Sea. Because of its calm crystal clear water and amazing marine life, it has a wonderful experience of snorkeling and scuba diving. Although its long sandy beach is an ideal place to relax and unwind, the magnificent surrounding scenery is undoubtedly worth exploring. Uludeniz is famous for its beautiful mountain ranges, the dazzling Blue Lagoon is a must-visit, and many people can paraglide to enjoy the beach views from above. Number 5. Trunk Bay. Trunk Bay is a national park beach on St. John in the United States Virgin Islands. Rated as one of the world's most beautiful beaches by the National Geographic Society, it attracts hordes of cruise ship passengers. Amenities on the beach include a snack bar, showers and restrooms, a lifeguard, and most famously, an underwater trail for snorkeling its coral reef. Number 4. Maya Bay. Since becoming famous in the 1999 movie Beach, Maya Bay in Thailand has been one of the most popular beaches in the world. However, due to its popularity, the Thai authorities had to close the beach in 2018 and limit the number of tourists per day to 2,000 to help protect the environment. The white sandy beaches and fascinating waters of Maya Bay are surrounded and sheltered by towering limestone cliffs, making it one of the most charming environments imaginable. Located on the island of Koh Phi Phi in the Andaman Sea, Maya Bay is worth a visit. Visitors can enjoy kayaking, snorkeling, and scuba diving around the bay. Number 3. Whitehaven Beach. Whitehaven Beach in Queensland, Australia is usually one of the most charming beaches in the world, and it goes without saying. It has the purest sand on earth, stretching for about 7 kilometers, turquoise waters, and secluded coves and lagoons. Due to its remote location in White Sunday Islands, there are relatively few tourists on the beach. You can relax on the beach, kayak, or enjoy a barbecue when you can barely see other people. Whitehaven Beach can only be reached by boat, helicopter, or seaplane, right in the center of the Great Barrier Reef. Number 2. Tulum. Located on the Caribbean coast of Mexico, Tulum not only has one of the country's best preserved Mayan ruins, but it's also one of its best beaches. It used to be the main port of the Mayan city of Coba. Tulum was built around 1200 AD, when the Mayan civilization had declined, so it lacked the elegance of some other famous attractions. However, the tropical beach background makes it one of Mexico's most popular tourist destinations and a paradise for photographers or artists. And at number 1, Anse-Source d'Argent. Seychelles is known for its idyllic luxury beach resorts, but one person stands out from the crowd: Anse-Source d'Argent. Located on the island of La Digue, this is one of the most photographed beaches in the world and is recommended by countless travel magazines. Anse-Source d'Argent is one of the top beaches in the world, with a large granite boulder all over the coastline, pink sand beaches, and coconut trees. The warm water of the Indian Ocean wraps around its shore. The pristine natural environment surrounds you, and exotic birds fly by. It has indeed created an unparalleled island experience. What's your favorite beach in the world? Leave a comment below, and as always, make sure you like the video and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a video.